It's week 12 of the Read What You Own challenge. What have I finished? Hello, welcome to my channel, Another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg, and I have finished week 12 of the Read What You Own challenge. This was an event created by Criminali, originally to read 100 books that you already own before buying another book. And this year it has morphed a bit, and I will be doing the challenge as reading 25,000 pages that I have already read before buying another book. I will link in the description of this video the rules and history of this event in case you're new to it. I want to start off by describing the two audiobooks that I finished this week. The first is The Silver Bone by Andrey Kurkov. He is a Ukrainian mystery author writing in Russian. The Silver Bone is an historical mystery set in Kiev, 1919. It starts off with a young man named Samson. He is a recent graduate of electrical engineering, and he witnesses his father's head split in two by the saber of a Cossack. The Cossack charges Samson and manages to slice off his ear, but not kill him. And then you go into his life about losing his father and describing that the rest of his family has already passed away and suffering through the loss of an ear. Kiev in 1919, let me just say, it's a hot mess. Lots of chaos and disorder. At one point, some people confiscate his furniture, his father's desk, where he'd been storing his severed ear. That's pretty odd. So he goes to the police department saying that this was an illegal confiscation, and the commander of the police department says, "You can't have your desk back, but I will hire you as a police detective," because he's short on police detectives at this time. You know, that Russian Revolution in 1917 has been creating a lot of mess in the Ukraine. So Samson finds himself as a police detective. He has absolutely no training as a detective whatsoever. His main qualification is that he can write well. I guess that was good enough. Now, Samson has two boarders from the Red Army living in his flat, and he's pretty sure that they're stealing things illegally, requisitioning items that they're not supposed to have. So he turns them into the police as his first crime solved. Things don't go well from there. There turns out to be a few murders that this poor boy has to solve, and having no clue on how to be a police detective. Now, is this the best historical mystery that I have ever read? No, but I found the history set in the Ukraine utterly fascinating. It's something that I don't know a lot about. I do feel a little left out because I think Ukrainians would be much more familiar with their own history, so the author did not put a lot into this novel. As an American, I just feel a little left out, but not too left out to not enjoy this book. This is the first in a series, according to the translator. There is a second book already out and available if you want it. I think I will pick it up. And the translator mentioned that the author was in the middle of writing his third in this series when Russia invaded Ukraine a few years ago. So the author is sort of on hold. He is fighting to expel the Russians from his home country. And for me, I think that's the deciding factor that I'm going to pick up the second in this series, because I think we should support people in the Ukraine in any way that we can. And reading a book from a Ukrainian mystery author seems like a very easy thing to do to support these authors and the Ukrainians that are suffering under the Russians. Notes from Underground by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I am going to be reading The Brothers Karamazov next February and March as part of a group read with the Ulysses 6. And I had this audiobook available, and I decided that I just wanted a little bit of a head start on Dostoevsky, get me up to speed with the way Dostoevsky thinks, the way that he writes, and all his intricacies that he has as an author. So I listened to this audiobook. It is not the first time that I have read Notes from Underground. I originally encountered it at university when I was taking a Russian literature class in translation. And one of the things about this book is that it's narrated by a nameless man he's a bit spiteful. He has a lot of venom in his mind, and he's hyper conscious. This is his word, and he can't quite function in society. The first part of this novel is very philosophical. Some people claim this is an early example of existential philosophy before there was existential philosophy, and it was gripping in his ideas. I could see this narrator just suffering through the world, thinking too much, and not being able to get along with society. The second half of this book is about this man. He goes to visit some friends, or former friends, I should say, maybe colleagues, and he invites himself out to this fancy dinner, and things just get worse from there. And then he goes visits a whorehouse. So that is the story of Dostoevsky. It is a pretty good novella. It is not a traditional story. As I said, the first half of this is basically all philosophical ruminations of this narrator and his inability to function in society. In a previous video, I mentioned that I wanted to try some new authors, and the new author that I picked out was Becky Chambers, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. This is a science fiction novel that I read on my Kindle. When I was deciding to read this, I also paired it up with a different science fiction novel, Star Eater by Kerstin. I did this pair up because Becky Chambers is known as a very optimistic science fiction author. She writes in the genre or a subgenre of solar punk or hope punk, where she just envisions a very good future for humanity. I wanted to balance that out with a more pessimistic science fiction author, and I picked up Star Eater, which was supposed to be about cannibalistic nuns in space. The Star Eater really is more of a fantasy novel. I'm going to be doing a dedicated review comparing these two authors and putting them head to head and see which one comes out on top. I already have the answer, but you will have to wait until I release that dedicated video. I finally finished Against the Day by Thomas Pynchon. Woo-hoo-hoo! 1,085 pages long. I started it in January and finished it early in the week. This was a group read with Alan at Big Hard Books and Classics and a few other people. I am also going to be doing a dedicated review of this book where I will decide, is this a masterpiece, an enigma, or a hot mess? Another case where you will just have to wait to find out. Swann's Way. I am continuing along. I am done with the Cambrai section and into the love life of Monsieur Swann and his fascination with a piece of music and a woman named Odette. This is a long, long project and not too much to add at this time. I finished 8 short stories from the collected fictions of Jorge Luis Borges. In this week's readings, I encountered a few labyrinths and the Minotaur more than once. I guess Borges has a thing for labyrinths and minotaurs. That's what I read this week. It came to 1,662 pages, bringing my total to 16,492 pages, and that is 65.97% done in my challenge. Thank you for watching, and keep on reading.